recognition.
I have a motion at the desk,
The
Mr.
clerk will
Speaker.
report the motion.
Ms. Clark of Massachusetts moves to lay the resolution on the table.
The question is on the motion offered by the gentlewoman from Massachusetts. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Mr. Speaker, I request a call of the yeas and nays.
Wow, wow. What you just saw is only a glimpse of the political firestorm erupting in Congress right now over Ilhan Omar. And honestly, a lot of people are saying this moment was long overdue. For years, rhetoric like hers has gone largely unchallenged, and the consequences are becoming impossible to ignore. This isn't just left versus right anymore. This isn't a simple debate over policy or party lines. We're talking about a direct clash over the core values that define American patriotism, accountability, unity, and respect for the very nation that grants us freedom. We're about to watch the full exchange. And then we're going to break down exactly what's fueling this backlash, why so many citizens are speaking out, and what it says about the growing divide in this country. Is Ilhan Omar a voice for progress or a symbol of division? Is she challenging the system for the better or undermining it from within? Those are the questions that millions of Americans are now asking, so buckle up. Grab your popcorn and prepare for a deep dive. Because what's happening here may shape political conversations in this country for a long time. And hey, if you're as concerned about where America is heading as I am, don't sit on the sidelines, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with friends and family. It's time to have this conversation openly, honestly, and unapologetically. Let's get into it.
Resolution 713. Whereas Charlie Kirk was a lifelong advocate for freedom of speech, civil political discourse, and the political engagement of youth, whereas Charlie Kirk was a man of deep faith, a husband, and a father of 2 young children, whereas on September 10, 2025, Charlie Kirk was assassinated on the campus of Utah Valley University while exercising his First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Whereas on September 11, 2025, one day after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Representative Ilhan Omar gave an interview on a Zateo town hall with Mehdi Hassan in which she smeared Charlie Kirk and implied he was to blame for his own murder. Whereas on September 12, 2025, 2 days after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Representative Ilhan Omar reposted a video on X, formerly known as Twitter, which disparaged the character of Charlie Kirk and those mourning his death.
All right, so we just watched the whole thing, and honestly, it's even more infuriating than I expected. So let's break it down because there's a lot to unpack here. First, we have this resolution to censure Ilhan Omar. And it's important to understand that this isn't some random, spur-of-the-moment political stunt. It's the result of years of repeated statements and actions that many Americans view as deeply offensive, divisive, and outright hostile to the values this country stands for. The resolution references the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, a prominent conservative figure who was murdered because of his political beliefs, and in the aftermath. Instead of offering condolences, calling for unity, or even showing basic human decency, Ilhan Omar went online and essentially blamed the victim, signaling through her rhetoric that his death was somehow justified as a consequence of his ideology. Think about how chilling that is. A sitting member of Congress, someone elected to represent the American people, responding to a politically motivated killing not with empathy or condemnation of violence, but with ideological accusation, as though murder becomes acceptable when it targets someone you disagree with. And let's be very clear, this isn't an isolated lapse in judgment or some misunderstood comment taken out of context. This moment is part of a long, well-documented pattern of rhetoric that has drawn outrage across the political spectrum, including from members of her own party at various points.
Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X states, Charlie Kirk is dead, and before the body got cold, the far right propped his corpse up as a cudgel for their holy war. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states, don't be fooled. These people don't give a single shit about Charlie Kirk. They are just using his death to further their Christo-fascist agenda. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states Charlie Kirk was a reprehensible human being. He enacted his political agenda by preying on weak-minded people. He took complex socioeconomic issues and simplified them by pointing fingers at out-groups, demonizing those groups, and seeking his massive following on them. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states Charlie Kirk was a stochastic terrorist, an adamant transphobe. He denied the genocide happening in Palestine. He believed in the subjugation of women. And in his last dying words, he was spewing racist dog whistles. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states Charlie Kirk was Dr.
Remember her infamous "It's all about the Benjamins" baby tweet, which perpetuated a dangerous anti-Semitic trope about Jewish influence and money in politics, a comment that sparked bipartisan condemnation and forced House leadership to scramble in damage control mode. Or consider her remark about 9/11, where she referred to the deadliest terrorist attack on American soil with the phrase, "Some people did something," a phrase so flippant and dismissive that it felt like an insult to the thousands who lost their lives, to the families who still grieve, and to every American who watched in horror as their nation was attacked. These aren't harmless slip-ups. This is a repeated theme of minimizing American suffering, vilifying certain groups, and advancing a narrative that feels antagonistic to foundational American principles. And then we come to the motion to table the resolution, a procedural move that most people outside of politics may not fully understand, but is crucial to what just happened. To table something in Congress is essentially to bury it without discussion, without debate, without allowing it to see the light of day, effectively shutting down accountability before it can even begin. Instead of openly facing the question of whether Ilhan Omar should be censured for her comments, certain numbers chose to protect her by sidestepping the confrontation completely, using parliamentary maneuvering to dodge moral responsibility. Let's call this what it is: cowardice. It's a blatant refusal to hold a public official accountable, not because she's right, but because she belongs to their political team. And protecting the team is apparently more important than defending national unity, basic respect, or ethical standards in public office. And what makes this even more telling is how close the vote was. The razor-thin margin highlights just how deeply divided our country has become. On one side, you have representatives willing to take a stand and say, "No, this crosses a line, and there must be consequences," and on the other side, you have representatives who are so bound by partisan loyalty that they will defend or excuse even the most inflammatory, divisive rhetoric if it comes from one of their own. This goes beyond politics. It goes into the realm of right and wrong. Because when a member of Congress repeatedly makes statements that alienate communities, downplay tragedies, perpetuate harmful stereotypes, or suggest that political violence is excusable depending on who the target is, we must ask ourselves a serious question. Is this someone who should be shaping policy, writing laws, and speaking on behalf of the American people? Is Ilhan Omar truly serving to unify and uplift, or is she exacerbating division and resentment? A growing number of Americans believe she is causing far more harm than good, that her words inflame tensions rather than soothe them, and that instead of being a voice for progress, she has become a voice of division, someone who is better at fanning flames than building bridges. The truth is, she has positioned herself not as a unifier but as a polarizing figure whose statements repeatedly spark outrage, create wounds, and undermine faith in our institutions. This is why many believe the censure resolution was not only justified but necessary, because there must be a line somewhere. A point where rhetoric that damages the fabric of the nation cannot be brushed aside simply because the speaker holds political power.
Frankenstein and his monster shot him through the neck, whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further blames Charlie Kirk for his own murder. Whereas Clause 1 of Rule 23 of the Rules of the House of Representatives provides a member, delegate, resident commissioner, officer, or employee of the House shall behave at all times in a manner that shall reflect credibly on the House. And whereas Representative Ilhan Omar's actions in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk are reprehensible and affect the dignity and integrity of the proceedings of the House and do not reflect credibly on the House, now therefore be it resolved that 1. Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota be censured. 2. Representative Ilhan Omar forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. 3. Representative Ilhan Omar be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. And 4. Representative Ilhan Omar be and is hereby removed from the Committee on Education and Workforce and the Committee on the Budget of the House.
When we allow repeated inflammatory rhetoric to go unchecked, we normalize it. And when we normalize it, we make division permanent. The Republicans who introduced and supported this resolution are being portrayed by some as overly aggressive or partisan. But many argue that they are actually standing on the right side of history, not for political gain, but for moral clarity. Whether you agree with every detail of the resolution or not, the underlying message is one that resonates with millions. Words from elected leaders matter. And when those words consistently undermine national unity and respect for American values, there must be consequences. And I, for one, stand with those who believe accountability is essential, not optional. This is not about silencing opposing views. It's about calling out harmful rhetoric that crosses ethical and patriotic lines. This is about preserving the integrity of public office. This is about affirming that America cannot afford leaders who divide rather than unite. So yes, enough is enough.